Alrighty, so today we're going to be doing a full run of the deer, and just like I did with the bird video that should have come out today as well, I just wanted to make an entire run video of me doing the activity so that way you can sort of see how it works, and I'll try to explain as much of it as I go along and sort of show you the mechanics of the fight and everything. This is the team that I'm specifically going to be using. I know that you guys might not have these specific characters or anything. The biggest thing to note is that you have to have at least one of each color character, so you have to have one agility hero, one strength hero, one HP hero, because of the way that the deer works. The gimmick to every single one of his floors on two different phases for each floor on 2 and 4, you have to worry about using the color rotation wheel, and you'll have to use a blue unit first, then a red unit, then a green unit, and then it restarts over and over again. Normally, when the deer first came out, I actually really did not want to use melee because I thought he was going to clog up my hand with a lot of cards that I wouldn't be able to use, and that is the case sometimes. This fight is definitely way more RNG based than the deer or the bird is. So that can be very, very troublesome. But you just kind of have to, kind of grin and bear it. Hopefully, as things go along, maybe there will be better characters that we can use for this fight in the future. But this is the team that I'm using at the moment. The basic idea behind this team is that Jormungandr is the deer character. She's the one that you want to have because her passive only works for the deer, and it basically just helps you increase your stats and stuff like that as you use cards. The wording on it is very strange, and you might have to sort of mess with it a lot to understand really how it works. But Elat is basically here just for her ultimate almost. Her cards do okay at best, but her ultimate increases defense related stats by quite a large margin, and pairing that with Melee's passive, because all of these characters use single target cards except for one of Melee's cards, you can sort of build up his defense stacks very easily, and by the time that you get to the last floor, there is a situation where you really don't want to be having him remove your ultimate move gauge. And having Elat's ultimate up and these melee stacks on on your characters as well will really help prevent that. So I'm using the single target attack buff card set on this, just like I do with the bird. You definitely can use the Sacred Island of Istal or whatever that card set is, where it heals you. That one is also very good. I think in the last one I said that if you don't have those two card sets, you can probably just use your attack cards. I think that's probably the same for this one as well. Here is the equipment that I'm using for the characters. I have attack defense on her because I think if I'm not mistaken, this boss has a little bit more crit resistance and crit defense, I think, than the bird does, so it's harder to crit. But these two characters, I have attack crit sets because that's just what I use on them for most activities, and I don't like to swap my gear sets around a whole lot. So I'm using just standard stuff on them, attack defense on her, and then I'm using HP defense on Elat because she ends up normally getting targeted the most. So I also have Red Tarmiel. Red Tarmiel's Grace with him disabling skill effects and stuff like that will not work because you cannot debuff the deer, if I'm not mistaken. But HP defense on everything else except for Sariel's with attack crit, as far as associated gear goes. So everything's the way that I need it. We're gonna hop in. We're gonna do this thing. I've already done it for the week, so this is literally just an extra run. Hopefully I can pull some of the gold little like box prism thingies because I need those for a relic at the moment. But yeah, floor 1 is very straightforward, I feel like. I mean, obviously, like I said, any of the stuff can be kind of shut down if you get really bad RNG. And this boss is definitely a lot harder in that department than the bird is, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm gonna throw one of each of these characters' cards out. I'm gonna move an Escanor card for ultimate. The basic idea with Jormungandr's passive is if you use 3 cards, one from each different character, you'll actually proc an extra stack of her passive. And I sort of lose track of it once I start doing the actual phase 2 and phase 4 of each floor, because those are the ones where you have to worry about the color wheel. But being able to sort of just stack those up in these early phases is okay. I mean, they only last for 2 turns, so you can only have 2 stacks on at one time. But it's still nice to sort of mess with and get those extra stats and stuff. So at this point we have an extra Elat card. and an extra Escanor card. I think I'm going to throw those out to make sure I get a melee passive. We'll use that, and then I think I'm going to move the Escanor card. So this is 3 cards with 3 different characters. Doesn't matter, we kill either way, so we don't actually get the stack because we didn't use that 3rd card. The big thing to note here is as long as he doesn't have in the later phases, he'll put on this defense buff that makes it to where you have to do a full rotation of the color wheel before you can deal damage to him. But in this first phase, you don't actually have to worry about that, so you can actually use melee cards first. The big thing here is, though, in phase 2, he has a ton of HP, but you also deal a lot more damage because of the color rotation. So we're going to use those. Then we can start sort of working on the rotation, so we can go blue. You can see it up here, blue into red into green, but we've already used 2 cards at the beginning with melee, so you can see he does really good damage, but he's not activating the color rotation, so it's not necessarily a waste. I don't want to say, like, you can still use his cards in this phase, but now that we've started the color wheel, you don't want to use melee cards. We actually didn't get any melee cards, which is ideally what you would want during a phase like this, so that's kind of nice. And for each floor, if you break the color wheel, it actually does various different things. I'm pretty sure in this floor it attack seals you, and then in floor 2 it freezes you, and then in floor 3 it puts on a corrosion, which you cannot you can't expel that debuff. It's a gray debuff. So now we need to use a green card into a blue card into a red card into a green card. I think we'll just go ahead and throw this one out. Why not? Being aware of using Jormungandr's healing cards is kind of nice. Because she increases your stats by so much, most of the time your lifesteal ends up healing most of your characters back regardless. So you don't have to worry too much about healing, I don't think. Like, I don't have like a dedicated actual healer on this team, but it'll be okay because of the extra stats that Jormungand gives. So, alright. Now, I think we're still good. He's disabling ultimate effects. One thing that you have to worry about with some of these phases, I think he normally does it in phase 4, is he'll during the color rotation wheel, if you're not fast enough with it in beating him, he will put up a taunt that is impossible to beat through. So you have to be sort of on top of it and make sure that you're beating it kind of quickly, or else you'll end up kind of getting screwed a little bit by that. So we're gonna throw these cards out. I kind of wish I had a melee card at this point so I could draw his ultimate, but we'll move that and get Jormungand's instead. So a little bit of a waste of some of those cards, but it's okay. If I could pull another melee card to get his ultimate to sort of deal some extra damage in this phase, it would be kind of nice. We still have an extra turn on our ultimate disable card, so we can't use any of these just yet. We have extra ELAT cards though, so I think what we're going to do is just waste some of these, and I think we'll go ahead and get rid of the Escanor card as well, and then we'll just move this so that way we use 3 different cards. Or, well, actually, we're using 2 ELAT cards, so it doesn't proc the passive there. So that's okay. This phase isn't normally any big deal. You're just sort of trying to work through it as you sort of prep cards to go into the last phase. So we can now use ultimates again, which is very, very good. Doing a little bit of damage to everybody, but Jormungand seems to be taking the most. Using her ultimate here will actually deal a really good amount of damage, so it should heal her back mostly, if I'm not mistaken. I think we'll go ahead and throw this out as well, and then I don't know if the melee cards are going to kill here or not, but I want to get rid of them out of hand before we go into this next phase. I think this actually might kill. These extra buffs on Melee's Amplify will actually help quite a bit, but he does have damage caps, so you can't, like, you know, just insta-kill him with one card by any means. Do kill there. We have one of each card in hand, plus Escanor's ultimate, which is really nice. So what I like to do is try to do a full rotation before using a big card, so that way he already has like the buff on him, just in case it ends up like helping do extra damage. So we'll use Escanor's card into Elat's card into the heal card, and then we'll use Escanor's ultimate and see how much damage that does. I think this will kill either way. The ultimate will do a very good amount of damage. So using this card to get a little bit of a heal off is going to be nice before we finish the phase off, so that way we can go into the next one with a pretty good amount of HP. So there's that. First floor's done. This one's always the easiest. I don't really think I've ever had much of a problem with phase, or, you know, floor 1. But, you know, obviously getting used to the mechanics and stuff like that can be a little annoying, and making sure that the color wheel's right and everything. So it just takes some practice, of course. So just, you know, kind of bear with it. Going into floor 2, floor 2, I think, isn't really as bad either. But there used to be a really bad thing where 2 of the passives that you could get were really, really bad passives on phase 4. But they have changed it in this newest update that we just got, where now it actually, they got rid of the worst passive that you could get and replaced it with one that doesn't actually seem like it's going to be that bad. So hopefully, if we get decent luck, there's 3 different passives that you can get. The worst one that we can get now, I think, is going to be one where at the beginning of each phase you lose 2 ultimate move gauge orbs on all of your characters. So hopefully we can not get that one, so that way we don't have to worry about trying to, you know, get our ults back at the beginning of each phase if we're going into, you know, the next phase with ult. If you do end up getting a bad passive, you can always just kind of reset the floor and go back into it, but just depends on, you know, if you're willing to sort of deal with it or not, I guess. Let's go ahead and do... We have extra Jormungand cards in hand as well as Escanors, so I think what I'm going to do is try to get his ultimate as well as getting a little bit of damage off. I don't know. I don't think we'll kill because of damage caps, but I might end up getting surprised here. Yeah, I think we're going to end up killing. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. I would have liked to have gone into this phase with Escanor's ult to help sort of beat it faster, but this might actually help me show the mechanic to phase 2 here. So with the mechanic on this one, on this floor, if you break the rotation, you actually get the character will become frozen, and for this phase, or for this phase specifically, every 2 turns he uses this card, which has a 10,000% attack multiplier on it, and basically it's just like an insta-kill, but if you have a frozen character, it misses. So the idea is you want to use cards in this first phase. This is the one where you have to use... It's unfortunate I didn't get an extra Escanor card because I have to use a level 2 Flood, which is unfortunate, but we're going to do one sort of rotation of the passive here, and then we should be able to start dealing damage after that. We'll deal 1 damage for each of these cards, but you can see up here that we're still progressing through the color wheel, and once I use the green card, you'll see this defense one sort of disappear. That means we can start actually dealing damage now. We'll probably have to deal with the whole frozen thing here because I don't think I have enough damage to push the entire phase, but that's okay. We'll sort of show how it works. So we're going to go ahead and use a blue card into a red card into a green card, and then we're going to use a melee card to break the cycle. So boom. Really good damage. He has good ult gauge, so that Elant card actually didn't do too bad. We might... I don't know if we'll kill here with the melee card. We might end up because he has good stacks on. We do, but just know that he would have been frozen off of that card if he wouldn't have died, and then he would have used that card and it would have missed and we would have all been fine. So that's definitely how you get through that phase. Just be aware. I just ended up doing more damage than I was figuring I was going to. So now we basically just want to continue sort of building cards and everything like that up, getting through this phase so that way we can go into the next one. Having, you know, extra ult and stuff like that to go into these last phases where the color wheel is active is very nice to have, because the ults are going to help you, you know, burst down the phase a lot faster. So we'll see what cards we draw here. I'm pretty sure... I think he still ends up having that defense buff on as well. This is going to infect us, so we can't heal, which is kind of annoying. If you can get Elat's ult for this phase, it's kind of nice to have, so you don't get infected and you can still heal. So I think what we'll do, well, I'm gonna try to consolidate some of these cards, and I guess I'm gonna get rid of the Escanor card to try to help get closer to his ult, but we'll see how it goes. He is kind of tanky on this floor, I feel like. Like some of the cards don't end up doing as much damage as I'm used to. We did end up getting an Escanor card, which is good. We're still fine. It just takes a... This one, I don't know why. This phase always ends up being kind of slow for me because I'm weary of using big cards because I want to go into the last phase with them. So I'm going to use the ult here. That'll give us debuff immunity as well. And then I'm going to use this card to heal everybody up a little bit. And then I really just need to get more of these Elat cards, or these Jormungand cards out of hand. So I'm going to use this and this. I would have liked to have went for Escanor's ult, but just making sure that I have better cards in hand into the phase is going to be better than going in with, like, you know, the heaviest hitting stuff you've ever seen. Which even then, there's potential that we don't kill here. Yeah, I don't think we do kill, actually, because Melee's not going to do that crazy of damage. He almost killed, but not quite. So, okay, pretty good draws, actually. I'm very happy with this. We have debuff immunity, so we don't have to worry about that. He ults Escanor. Doesn't even really do much damage. But we have maxed out melee stacks and stuff like that at this point, so he's definitely helping cut down on a lot of damage. That's also a big thing that you have to kind of worry about, is he deletes cards out of hand. So if you're, you know, you don't want to, you know, lose on a bunch of cards. Let's just move Escanor cards. We have to get rid of an extra card as well, because we're going to draw Melee's ult too. So I think I'm going to use one of these. Actually, let me use this first, so that way I can at least get a little bit of a heal off of it, because I think this might kill. It does, so we get a little bit of a heal. Kind of nice. So tops off our characters. Should draw... We got the worst passive... No, actually, this is the new one. Okay. It just has a similar icon. So increases the hero's basic stats by 0.5% for every ultimate move gauge orb on the battlefield. So it's everybody's collectively. So that seems like it could stack up. I've not played with this passive yet, but I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue. He actually doesn't have the defense buff on this time, so we don't have to do an entire rotation before being able to do damage. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use the melee ult to get a little bit of damage off. I'm going to use an Elat card, which is red, so we go into green, and then we're going to use the Escanor ult because it's blue. So boom, decent damage, 234. Use that. It never really does much, but it's just, you know, she's there for her ult more than anything. And then the ult should deal pretty good damage. Boom, 222, and then another 222, so 444. And then nice. I mean, that's perfect hand. We draw everything except for melee cards because we can't use melee cards at this point. So like I said, you do have to worry about if you don't beat it in a certain, you know, amount of turns, he will put on a stance card. It's not this turn, but next turn he can put it on, and this stance card is like a death sentence. If you don't beat it before he puts on the stance card, you can't remove it, and it insta kills your characters if you attack with it. So definitely be cautious of that. Let's go for red into green. This is nice because this will merge, and then we're back to red again, so we'll use that card. So boom, little bit of damage. Green card, little bit of damage. This should deal pretty good damage. Bam. And then I think this will actually kill because it's a detonate card. Just barely killed, I think, but there's that phase done. Pretty simple. That one was definitely the worst one, because if you got the bad passive, you'd have to reset over and over again. It was super annoying. I think I might actually be able to get my gold cubes off of this, which is nice. So that's great. But let's move on into this last phase here. Got to use a stamina potion, but that's okay. And we'll see how it goes. So, I think everything's pretty straightforward for this one. The only things that you really have to worry about are, I think in phase 3 and 4, obviously you have to worry about the color rotation in 2 and 4, but I think I normally just end up doing the same thing. The only thing about this first phase, I'm still going to use, so the only thing that I'm going to change up here is I'm going to start using the heal cards more instead of this card, because this one removes buffs, and I'm pretty sure in phases 3 and 4 he ends up putting on some really annoying buffs that I think have evasion on them, so you want to make sure that you have this card if possible. So I'm going to use the cards that I want to get rid of. We're going to move the Escanor card again. He will attack seal in this phase, and for some reason, I assume it's because of my character's stats and everything, he always ends up attacking and sealing Escanor for the entirety of the phase. Not really sure why, but pulling extra Escanor cards and stuff like that is kind of nice because we can try to push his ult for going into the next phase. So you'll see he gets attack sealed. It happens every single time. Not really sure why, but because I've ran with this team so much, I'm aware of it happening and I can work around it. So we're just going to try and sort of move around his cards and stuff to sort of build up some extra damage there. And then I think I only have these cards, so I'm going to try to just use these melee cards to get rid of them, I think. And I think I'm actually just going to go ahead and throw away the extra Escanor card as well. I'm pretty sure both of the color rotation phases, so 2 and 4 on this one, he has the defense buff, so you'll have to do an entire rotation before you can actually deal damage to him, meaning that we want to make sure that we don't have melee cards if possible, because we literally can't use them before the phase starts. So he puts on blockade there, which is also a little annoying, but it's not the worst thing in the world because we're still, you know, kind of fine. Having this at level 2 is going to be kind of nice because it'll heal us a little bit in this next phase. So I think what we're going to do is move this card and then use these to kill the phase, and we're drawing the Escanor ult here, so I think as much as I don't want to, I'm gonna get rid of that because he's gonna have that buff on, so we're just gonna have to get rid of an Escanor card to begin with anyway. So I just want to get it in hand so that way I can have extra cards for characters, because I'm pulling an extra Escanor card from the ult. So I'll have 2 Escanor cards in hand, 2 Elats, 2 Jormungandrs, if you know what I mean. So I do have the melee ult, which is going to clog my hand up a little bit, so that's a little unfortunate. He actually doesn't have the seal or the defense buff on. He does. He definitely has it in phase 4 though. So I guess we might as well just use that. Because we can, and then we'll go ahead and use an Elat card into the heal card into the Escanor ult, because we can actually get the damage off this first turn. So we'll actually push through this phase fairly easily, if I'm not mistaken, and then we have to worry about phase 3 where he can put on I'm not sure if it's delete or if he just actually gets rid of your ultimate move gauge, but you want to make sure that you can go into the last phase with Escanor's ult in hand, because it's going to help tremendously. So he has a built-in revive on phase 4, so you definitely want to be cautious of that. He's doing quite a bit of damage to Jormungand here. Could end up kind of messing up the run maybe. Let's go ahead and use this, and I think we're just going to move cards around so that way we can try to get some ults going into this next phase. I don't actually know if we kill here. Hopefully this kills. Okay, it does. Very nice. So we have a heal card in hand from Jormungand, which is kind of nice. I think her ult will actually heal her up quite a bit as well, because we've got good stacks going on. So we're gonna go ahead and use this. I think we'll go ahead and use the Escanor card and then the melee card. So hopefully we can get a decent amount of lifesteal this turn for these units. This move will also heal everybody a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. Get a little bit of damage off there. Melee should deal okay damage. Yeah, pretty good damage. Okay, nice. If possible, we want to get Elat's ult going into this phase, or going into the next phase, so that way he doesn't remove our ults and stuff. And we want to try to keep getting rid of these melee cards, because these melee cards are going to hinder us more than anything. So he's attacking Jormungand quite a bit. It's kind of sketching me out a little. This actually should heal her since she's the lowest HP. And then we'll use this to merge, I think. Get rid of these melee cards, and we'll see what our hand is next turn. So 54k, but she heals herself for like 80% of that damage or something, so should be kind of a decent heal there. I think this is gonna kill. No, it doesn't kill. Okay, very good. I'm really glad that didn't kill, because that would have been really bad. Okay, so the fact that he keeps deleting Jormungand's cards can be a very bad thing, because we need to make sure that we have a Jormungand card going into this next phase. I'm going to try to go for her ult and also hand space as well, so hopefully we can pull a Jormungand card, because we need it to get past the wall, because we have to use one of each character's cards. Please. Okay, thank God. Alright, so we still are going to end up needing Jormungand cards, so that's going to be kind of an issue if we don't end up getting them. But let's go for... let's go for this card first, and then we'll put... we need to get rid of that, of course. We gotta use the Jormungand card. I really hope that we can pull another one, so that way we can help push the phase, because ideally what you want to do is I think he revives on like 10% HP or maybe 25. We'll try to look at his passive once it becomes our turn again, but the idea is you want it to be on blue rotation, because you deal more damage that way, and it nerfs your damage a lot if you're not using the correct color. So we didn't patience the entire thing on Escanor there, so that's a little unfortunate. So we got to get his ultimate back. He does have a card that just straight up removes ultimate move gauge, which is very, very annoying. So it's back to us on blue. We'll just try to get damage off, I think. Into red, into green. I think we're going to deal a halfway decent amount of damage there, so I'm going to just try and... I'm going to use this. It's not going to do as much. Hopefully it doesn't do too much to where it procs the revive. I don't think it... it's going to deal some good damage, I think. We'll see. I don't think it's going to push past the revive point. Oh, I meant to check his passive again. Hopefully we can stay... Okay, we should be fine there. Hopefully I can keep my ultimate here. If I can, that would be fantastic. Okay, he has evasion, which is really bad. We kept the ult. I'm pretty sure our ult will beat through evasion, if I'm not mistaken, so I think we're fine there. If I'm not mistaken. From attack skills, yeah. So we did get to save our ultimate. What is his revive at? If the hero survives with 20 HP or less, 20% HP or less, so we're still within that 20 HP. We're on blue, so that means Escanor's ult will do more than enough damage to kill here, and then we're fine, so we can just throw whatever cards out we want. So this should kill. Boom. Very, very nice. That one is by far the trickiest phase. Making sure that you don't get your ultimate removed. Sometimes you can get RNG lucky and just have him not use the right card, and he won't remove it, which is ideally what you would want, I guess. But having ELAT and increasing your stats and stuff like that, if you have a higher ultimate level ELAT, it helps more because it increases your defense-related stats even higher. But just having her ult on and having Melee's passive maxed out with the defense-related stats and stuff like that is ideally what you want there. So I know that this one can be very RNG based. Sorry if that wasn't, you know, as clear maybe as you would want it to be, but this is just me doing just a regular run and like my thought process on going through the entire thing. So hopefully it helped. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or anything like that, leave them down in the description below. I'll try to help as much as I can. I probably won't be able to give you straight up great answers on like, who can I use instead of this character or whatever, because obviously this is just what I'm most comfortable with, and being comfortable with your team and knowing how they're going to fight in the battle is, that's a huge part of the actual like creature's nest as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, kind of getting used to your team is a big one. So feel free to subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video.